And breathe. Take a moment because Leeds United have just come out of the match against Bournemouth, somehow going from being 3-1 down in added time to drawing that match 2-2, which is genuinely insane. One of the wildest endings to a game of football I've seen in a while, and it happened at the end of a match that was, for the most part, pretty damn dull. So I'm going to go through that, some of the key talking points, and ultimately sum up what I think was a very important point and a pretty damn good launching pad on to the FA Cup semi final this weekend. And the first of those talking points is the lineup. Because having had a look at the lineup, I thought Bournemouth are unbeaten for a decent amount of time. I would like us to go unchanged. It would make a lot of sense for us to go unchanged, but I understand if we don't. If we rest a couple of players here and there, it would all make a little bit of sense. Farkas said he wouldn't necessarily do that, but you never know. And for me, the lineup that we picked made a lot of sense at the time. It was reasonably balanced. That attacking line is very, very promising, very, very consistently. Noah Okafor, when he's fit and firing, is top tier. Brendan Aronson, as we saw in this match, was excellent, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, in my opinion, isn't particularly replaceable when the other option is Lucas Mecha. Mecha is good, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people will hear the Calvert-Lewin praise and go, I guess you don't like Mecha then. It's more that they do different things. Metra is more physical, and I think we needed more of a technical forward in this one, so it all kind of made sense. And for the most part, it worked. We mostly sort of suppressed them in the first half. We made sure that their attacks were sort of relatively blunted, but there were some potential vulnerabilities down the right hand side that I'm going to get to in the next talking point, which is Jayden Bogle, who came off at half time. I'm not really going to talk about much that happened in the first half because, one, I was trying to get a baby to sleep for most of it, so I was sort of distracted. But two, it was there was only one real thing that happened, and that was the fact that Jayden Bogle seemed a little bit behind the match. He was caught very high very often, and I know that that's kind of his point. He is someone that effectively plays as a winger from the right wing back position. But by this I mean that he would do that in his normal sort of role, be a sort of wing bit, but most of the time when James Justin, the right centre back, is filling in and bombing forward as well, Bogle would sit back a little bit and make sure that we got a little bit more solidity there. Maybe this is something that Iraola noticed that was a problem for Leeds. Maybe it's something that Iraola noticed was a weakness with Leeds that had not been exploited before, but he certainly made sure to exploit it. Plenty of balls went down Bournemouth's left, our right, and it opened us up a good few times. In addition to that, Bogle's passing was a little bit astray relatively often, and he might have looked like he was sort of struggling with something towards the end of that half. So ultimately, I'm glad he came off. It makes a lot of sense to just sort of protect him ahead of Wembley, but hopefully, this is a blip rather than a sign of a significant problem. In addition to that, I think another midfielder that had a little bit of an up and down day was Autanaka. So at points his passing was ridiculously wayward. Like there were a few times that where he would play a ball and it just wouldn't work out. I think their first or second, I don't know, one of the goals, Tanaka gives the ball away and they're able to build very, very quickly and cause a problem like that, which is not a good position to be in. Tanaka is normally one of those reliable players that will just play a ball that works and occasionally have just a bit of magic to him and cause an opposing team a very, very big problem. Didn't happen so much this time, but again, Tanaka did the thing that Tanaka always does and put in a hell of a work rate. The guy works his ass off every single time we see him on a football pitch, and today was no different. He gave his absolute all, and there was a last ditch tackle that he made that saved our lives at one point. After a Darlow save that bobbles out, Tanaka lunges in, gets the ball. Delicious stuff. Very, very nice. Maybe he was exposed by the fact that the midfield battle was three of their central midfielders and just two of ours. Maybe Aronson and Okafor didn't chip in enough towards that area of the pitch. Maybe Gudmundsson or Bogle could have cut inside a little bit more, protected Snacker and Ampadu more. But it was one of those where a better side would have caused significant issues for us. I know Bournemouth now unbeaten in like 13 league games or something daft like that. But at the end of the day, they're a very, very good side, but they're a better. And better would have absolutely pulled us apart in that sense, and I'm quite glad that they didn't, to be completely honest with you. On the other hand, we're going to talk about a player that was genuinely excellent for us. Like Tanaka, his work rate was brilliant, his defensive stuff was good, but errors in occasional points meant that we made things harder for ourselves. Carl Darlow, on the other hand, I'm going to start with something that is less of the shiny thing, but his passing is far improved. One of my initial issues with Caldala was that he was very inconsistent with the sort of medium range passes. Long balls, fine. That's just launch it up in the direction of a forward. That's never going to be a problem. Short stuff, also fine. 5 to 10 yards, easy. Darlow occasionally had problems with his medium range passing that worried me a little bit, but he started to pick that up really significantly. If you just heard a baby snore then, that was adorable. But he started to pick that up, not really making any errors at this point. And in addition to that, his shot stopping is superb. So many crosses he dealt with very, very easily. There was that save in the first half where he's heading one way, the shot's coming back across him, and he just leaves a leg hanging because he has a feeling that a shot's going to come in that area. Genuinely brilliant stuff. And I think we'd be making a massive mistake if we didn't just try to extend Darlow's contract. Like, I know it's expiring, that's a problem. But if we go into next season with Perry, with Darlow, and with a fairly young up-and-coming goalkeeper, and just let Darlow have just another year or something like that, then I would not have a problem with it at all. I would love him to stick around. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But that is the dream, in my opinion. And then we get to the biggest talking point from the match, which is VAR. Which, in the notes that I've got a nice thing of notes with all the talking points on it. I've just put the words very, very funny. Because I think everyone sane agrees that that shouldn't be offside, really. I know letter of the law and all that kind of stuff. But he's offside by, like, this bit of shoulder, which if you try and score a goal with that, it's getting ruled out immediately. But it still counts for offside, apparently, which is very, very, very funny to me. That shouldn't have been offside. The goal should have stood, I think, which is annoying. But at the same time, Peru wasn't offside for that one, so whatever, it should have ended like 3-2. But another note for the refereeing in this one, I think he did reasonably well in sort of calming down the Bournemouth. Well, not calming them down, but dealing with their complaints. Because they were relentless. They were constant, and they were just screaming in the ref's ear. The number of times where someone would run at Goodmanson, not get touched, and go down and go, why is that not a penalty? Well, because he's not touched you. Or because he's gone shoulder to shoulder with you. Grow up a little bit. You don't deserve a penalty just because you've hit the ground. For me, this was something of a smash and grab, something of a heist where we've managed to somehow come out of it with a point, which is genuinely fantastic. And now the sort of 46 points that I was predicting when I talked to Joe a couple of weeks back over on his channel, where after the international break we made predictions and thought, right, how many points are we going to end up with? I said 46, and I was somewhat laughed at, and I said we might go unbeaten for the rest of the season. We've got 4 matches left. Spurs, West Ham, this isn't in order, Burnley and Brighton, I think. None of those matches scream defeat to me. We're on a very, very nice run. In addition to that, we got Chelsea in the FA Cup, who've just sacked their manager, are in relative turmoil. I think we are in the perfect place to make the most of that opportunity and ultimately put ourselves in a very, very good direction for the end of the season. 46 points, why not? And an FA Cup. Let's have a European tour next season. That'd be quite good, wouldn't it? Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, pop a like on it. That'd be absolutely wonderful. Let me know what you thought about everything down below. That's I like knowing what you guys think, to be honest. I might not reply to everything because, baby, but I will read basically every comment other than the ones that are abusive and get hidden from me by YouTube's back end, which is quite funny. And subscribe, become a channel member, all that fun stuff. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Doodle amigos.